They stole millions and vanished without a trace. Number 5. D.B. Cooper. On November 24, 1971, a man using the name D.B. Cooper purchased a ticket for a Northwest Orient flight from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. He was seated among 35 other passengers. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper ordered a bourbon and soda. When it arrived, he passed a handwritten note to a flight attendant and instructed her to read it. The note directed her to sit beside him. When she did, he opened a briefcase and showed her what appeared to be a bomb. His demands were straightforward: 4 parachutes and $200,000 in cash to be waiting when the aircraft landed in Seattle. The flight attendant relayed the demands to the captain, who relayed them to the FBI on the ground. When the plane landed, the FBI delivered everything Cooper had asked for in exchange for the release of all passengers. 4 crew members were kept aboard as the aircraft departed again, this time with Mexico City given as the destination. Cooper specified an altitude of 10,000 feet and a particular airspeed. Approximately 20 minutes into the second flight, the cockpit received an alert. The rear staircase had been deployed. The captain brought the plane down in Nevada. A search of the aircraft found no trace of Cooper. He had jumped somewhere over the forest between Seattle and Reno, taking the money with him into the dark. What followed was one of the most extensive manhunts in American history. Over 200 military and law enforcement personnel conducted ground searches that found nothing. D.B. Cooper has never been identified. No confirmed trace of him has ever been found. In 1980, a small bundle of deteriorating bills matching the serial numbers of the ransom was discovered along a riverbank in Washington state. Everything else remains unknown. The case was the only unsolved commercial airline hijacking in American history. Number 4. The Great Train Robbery. On August 8, 1963, 15 men intercepted a Royal Mail train traveling through Buckinghamshire, England, in the early hours of the morning. The approach was precise. A glove was stuffed over the green signal light on the track, and a portable battery was connected to the red light in its place. The driver brought the train to a stop as required by protocol and climbed down to investigate. He was attacked with a metal pipe, handcuffed, and left beside the track. The gang unloaded the mail car and escaped with $2.6 million, approximately $46 million in today's currency, or close to $60 million. Afterward, all 15 robbers and 2 additional associates who had provided inside information converged on a farmhouse, divided the money, and dispersed. 6 men were paid separately to burn the farmhouse and eliminate any evidence connecting the group to the location. They did not burn it effectively enough. When police arrived at the property, they recovered fingerprints throughout the building, including from a Monopoly board the group had been using during their time at the farm. Using those prints, 15 of the 17 people involved were identified, arrested, convicted, and imprisoned. 1 member was acquitted due to insufficient evidence. The 17th person believed to be the source of the inside information that made the robbery possible was never identified at all. He is known only by the alias the Ulsterman. Who he actually was remains unknown. Number 3. The British Bank of the Middle East heist. On January 20th, 1976, while Beirut was in the middle of a civil war, an unknown number of thieves broke into the British Bank of the Middle East and removed what may be the largest single cash haul ever taken in a robbery. The method of entry was unconventional. The group gained access to the building next door, a Catholic church that shared a wall with the bank, and used explosives to breach that wall from within. Once inside the bank, their locksmith worked through the wall's security and opened it within hours. The thieves removed gold bars, currency, and jewelry. The estimated total has never been precisely established because no thorough investigation was ever possible given the circumstances of the war. Conservative estimates place the value at $20 million. Higher estimates reach $50 million, equivalent to somewhere between $110 million and $280 million today. No suspects were ever identified. No investigation of any substance was ever launched. The timing, the location, and the method combined to produce a robbery that has never been solved and likely never will be. It is the most anonymous major theft in recorded history. Number 2. The Antwerp Diamond Heist. For 3 years before February 15, 2003, a man named Leonardo Notarbartolo maintained a small office at the Antwerp Diamond Center in Belgium, presenting himself to the building's staff and tenants as an ordinary diamond merchant. He was not. Merchants with offices in the building were granted full access to the vault level, where hundreds of individual safe deposit boxes were held. Notarbartolo spent his time there, documenting everything: the vault layout, the locking mechanisms, the alarm systems, using a camera concealed in a pen he wore in his breast pocket. Back at a workshop, he and his 4-man crew built a full replica of the vault and spent months rehearsing the operation against it. The team operated under working names: Speedy, Monster, the Genius, and the King of Keys. Each member had a defined role based on their specific skills. On the night of February 15, 2003, they entered the vault room and worked through its defenses in sequence. The combination had already been obtained from hidden camera footage recorded days earlier. The heat sensors were neutralized with hairspray and foam. Light sensors were covered with black fabric. The secondary gate was picked by the King of Keys. The alarm wiring was disabled by Monster in complete darkness. Using a custom-built tool resembling an oversized corkscrew designed by the King of Keys specifically for this purpose, the team forced open every safe deposit box in the vault. When they left, they carried over $100 million in diamonds, jewelry, and cash. No forensic evidence was left inside the vault. The plan fell apart during the escape. One member, Speedy, grew anxious about the physical evidence the team was carrying and began dumping it in a forest rather than destroying it as they had agreed. The landowner found it. The discarded material included envelopes addressed to the Diamond Center, surveillance recordings, and receipts connecting the man to the crime. Arrests followed quickly. Notarbartolo received a 10-year sentence. 3 others received 5-year terms. The King of Keys was not among them. He had maintained such complete operational security throughout the entire operation that investigators found no evidence of his existence before, during, or after the robbery. He left Antwerp with his share of the proceeds estimated at $20 million, worth approximately $34 million today. He is described only as an older man. His real name has never been established. Among professional locksmiths and security experts, he is considered one of the most skilled key forgers ever documented. Number 1. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist at approximately 12:30 in the morning on March 18th. 1990. 2 men dressed as Boston police officers arrived at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum and knocked on the front entrance. The security guard on duty admitted them. Once inside, one of the officers told the guard that there was an outstanding warrant for his arrest. The guard stood up from behind the security desk to comply. In doing so, he stepped away from the emergency alarm button, the only mechanism available to signal for help. He was pinned against the wall and handcuffed before he could return to it. When the second guard arrived moments later, he was handcuffed immediately as well. Both men were walked to the basement and secured to a steam pipe. Their wrists, ankles, and eyes were covered with duct tape. The thieves then spent the next hour moving through the museum at their leisure. When they left, they carried 13 works of art, paintings, drawings, and objects collectively valued at around $200 million at the time and estimated at roughly $500 million today. Among the pieces taken were works by Rembrandt, Vermeer, Degas, and Manet. Not a single piece of usable evidence was left behind. No arrests have ever been made. The artwork has never been recovered. The FBI produced a sketch of the two suspects that has contributed nothing to the investigation in the 30-plus years since. What made the Gardner Museum uniquely vulnerable was not a failure of sophisticated security systems. It was the absence of them. Banks and jewelry vaults attract intensive protection as a matter of assumption. A museum holding $500 million in irreplaceable art was secured at the point of entry by a single alarm button on an unattended desk. Two men dressed in borrowed uniforms walked in, walked through, and walked out. They have never been found. It remains the largest property theft in recorded history.